So you're telling me offline, Bitcoin's also in a bull flag. Now, I'm struggling to see that because it's taken a hit. Explain your thought process here.
Right. Okay. Well, let's just go back. We'll just go back to a couple of these. So, for example, the bull flag that I'm showing you, more or less, the market rallies up, has a huge move, which this was a huge move. It was over 100% move, and then it chops in these huge oscillations and goes flat for a long time. That's a bull flag pattern. That should resolve to the upside, and then you have another one, and eventually it will more or less consolidate, depending on how big one goes. It'll rally up and consolidate, and then it'll rally up and consolidate. And when you look at this, this super one that we've seen, let me just squish the chart out. It's getting a little messy here. We're in what I think is going to be like just a massive bull flag pattern, which you and I actually talked about a long time ago. I think it's going to take Bitcoin a year before it breaks to new highs. And I got a lot of flack for that. But the reality is it's stuck in this massive range right now, and it could trade sideways here for a long time, for potentially another several months. And eventually price here is going to ping pong around, and it should start to flatline, and then eventually it'll start to move up, and it'll start another one of those bull flag rallies. We've seen it with Bitcoin 6 times in the past. This pullback is nothing normal. It's actually one of the smallest pullbacks after one of these significant rallies, percentage-wise. So it's holding up actually really good in the grand scheme of things, but it needs a lot of time to oscillate and kind of work out the bugs and for the positions of the Bitcoins to change hands to new investors. There's a lot of money that was spooked out of the market right in here when it broke down, and everyone who chased it up got spooked out. And so it's just changing hands. But that's the bull flag. It's pointing to a lot higher prices. In fact, we could use Fibonacci extension and get an idea of where this last standout low, where that momentum move is. And more or less, the 618 is usually the first resistance level. If you hit that level and pull back a bit, typically you're going to hit that 100% measured move. And you can see it. We're looking at pretty much 90,000 to the upside. Right. And so eventually when it gets up here, it's probably going to have some type of pause or pullback as it tries to eat through all this resistance. And then boom, it's going to run up and hit that $89,000, $90,000 mark. But that might not happen until next year. That's my game plan, mid to late next year.
So if you take a look at 2017, now let's take a look at the chart here. Let's take a look at what happened in the last major bull run.
The future, I only have futures, and futures didn't start here, so I can't go back there, unfortunately. But it came up and then it crashed and went out of favor for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my point. It went out of favor for 2.5 years. It flatlined for 2.5 years. They called that the crypto winter. And I think if I remember the chart correctly, in 2017 we had a peak. It came back down, and then it climbed up a little bit before crashing back down to its then lows, right? Which is similar to what we're seeing now. So I'm wondering if that pattern could be repeated, and if so, we're going to possibly see even lower lows than what we're seeing today before it flatlines. What do you think?
I think it's really possible. I still have a downside target of like 21 and potentially 16. And so we need to see, this is the first bounce. This was like a really significant bounce that we had. And when you look at the chart, it was this low. There was a big gap here. There was a multi-day low over here. So this is a major support level. So it just hit that and it's bounced. And now we need to see if it's going to actually break through these and actually fade down lower, like you were just talking about, 2018. Yeah. It kept grinding lower and lower, and 21 and 16 are the next downside kind of moves. And that's why I don't like to try and buy something when it's in a downtrend, because it could last for a year, could last for 8 years, or like the precious metals market. There's no point, just because you love it, you shouldn't hold it when it's not favorable, right?
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
That's a good point. Yeah, just because you love it, you shouldn't hold it. You're not married to something like a person. So is it too early to tell if that bear pattern is going to continue? Because we have come off from the top, but just from a technical perspective, is that too early to tell if that trend is going to continue or not?
It's tough. Right now we're kind of in no man's land. We're making a lower high. We did make a lower low over here. Technically the trend is down. It looks like a head and
shoulders pattern, right? It looks like the right side of a head, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you talking about this one here as a shoulder and a head and a shoulder?
The pattern we're currently in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you're looking at it. You could argue that that's a big head and a shoulder, but it's pretty ugly. Really, this is going to be a critical line in the sand. For it to close below there, that's going to be pretty major. And then we are making lower highs, and we're kind of just treading water here. At this point, I mean, on a short-term basis, it really depends on how you look at this, right? If you're an investor, I think Bitcoin, I mean, is still in a major bull market in terms of it's in a bull flag, just like gold, just like silver and miners. They're more or less flagging down out of favor right now. I think longer term, they're going higher, but in a short-term basis, when you look at it, this market really is struggling at this point. It's made a drop, a little bear flag. It's had the second drop. It's in a bear flag. It's under all the key moving averages. It is pointing to lower prices in the near term. Over the next week or so, we could see it come back down. And again, it's stuck in a pretty big range. You could argue too, it's stuck below all this level. And when it breaks out of whichever way it breaks out of this level will be fairly significant. I think if it breaks to the upside, we could be off to the races. Maybe it's going to hit 90,000 sooner than later. But as long as it stays in this range or breaks below it, it's kind of dead money. You don't really want to get involved because it could trade in this range for a long time.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.